Hey, what's up, everybody? Big Yo 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so here's a Laker video I wanted to make. Let my therapy session run so long that I didn't get a chance to do it on halfway down my walk down Lankershim as I wanted to do. But I got about 15 minutes, 20 minutes before I'm at the target that I'm headed to. So it's a nice day, beautiful weather in Los Angeles. Of course, our team plays tomorrow, Milwaukee Bucks in Milwaukee, and you know, we're looking forward to it, man. It feels like it's been a week since the Lakers played, even though it's only been 3 days. I'm ready for my Laker ball. Me personally, when the season's going on, especially early on, I prefer more frequent play. Now, dog days, when we're like near the end of the season, mid-March, when I'm tired, making videos for the last 5 months, yeah, that's when it's like, all right, let's give us a week off or something like that. But at this point, no, I don't need any more time off. I want to get back into the swing of things, but you know, it's also a strange thing that they have a back-to-back in the preseason. I've never seen that before. Certain I've never seen that before. Maybe they're trying to try to get people a bit more prepared for back-to-back, I guess is the logic. I don't know if every team has that going on, but we do. I think most people hate it, but in the preseason, when you consider it, you could use one set of 9 guys and then only use like 2 guys from the previous game and run a whole other set, and it doesn't matter. I think that's probably how the Lakers will play that. So there will be guys like Austin Reeves who probably play both games, but Bron and AD are probably, you know, they're not going to play both games. Max will probably play both games. You know, I can see Gabe probably playing both games, but like when it comes to the big dogs, nah, I'd be surprised if they even suit up for either one of those, to be honest with you. But you know, AD at the 4 is kind of the conversation around the NBA right now. The Lakers specifically, rather. And I like it. As you guys know, I've been asking the Lakers to be able to audible into that. For as long as AD's been here, I've been saying he's a 4. Although I got comfortable with him at the 5. I understand the numbers tell us he's better at the 5. He's been the 5 the whole time here. So we kind of like get used to it. I've gotten used to it, rather. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't want him to have the option of playing the 4. Or at least have the coach have it be an option to go to. And I think it'll help him a lot. It takes pressure off of him in some cases to not have to be the main big, especially when you're going up against the Sabonis's and you know, guys that are going to be big like Zach Edey and stuff like that. You don't necessarily want him banging with those people. Let somebody else handle that. Let him audible into the 4. Let him be the weak side, help in those situations, and probably be even more effective for you on both sides of the floor when you let that be the case. I understand we could do a lot with a stretch 5, and we don't have that, but I mean, if he's willing to shoot the 3 himself and can be effective in it, then that'll probably provide more spacing to where it won't be as necessary to have one. So I like the idea. I think JJ's on the right track. We've always championed the idea of having particularly Christian Wood play with Anthony Davis because it's looked good in the sample sizes that we used. And it was one of those things that we thought worked well in a lot of situations, and we just didn't return to it. So that's something that he wants to do with Jackson Hayes, and I think it's not bad. I like the look of it thus far. Jackson Hayes brings a lot of energy, great lob threat. As I said, he's a sneaky good steals guy, passing lane, stuff like that. He uses his length pretty well, and he's a nice playmaker. He's turned into a player who has pretty good vision at the center position, which is something I want to see the Lakers explore with really all of our centers, because that's one of the things that we can do with Castleton. We can do that with AD. You can do that also with Jackson Hayes. They all 3 of those guys specifically have really good vision for their position. So you want to try to explore that as much as you can, within reason, of course. So, you know, we have guys that we can utilize that are look to score first, particularly guys like D'Angelo Russell and, of course, Dalton Knecht in place. Bron and AD, of course, could benefit greatly from a nice pass-first situation. And so I'd like for JJ to utilize that strength. I think it'll get the most out of all 3 of those centers, where you consider it being a big part of what they all do. So, especially Colin Castleton specifically. He's a really good playmaker from the center position. So if we can explore getting him assists consistently, or at least looks at potential assists, I think it'll up his overall production level. And that's really what it is, exploring for JJ. You know, it's a lot of stuff that we say it all the time in regards to looking at last year, but we left a lot of meat on the bone. We don't really know what everybody can do, to be honest with you. And it's one of those situations where when you consider that, then you see room for that type of thing, to where you can just see, run a couple plays, see if a guy can do something that maybe we didn't know he was capable of doing last year, and just didn't try. So I think that's what the preseason is for, to be honest with you. You do that, and if you find you like what you see, then you put yourself in the strongest position to be able to utilize that stuff in the regular season. So there was some footage going around. I was watching content from, what's his name? His name always escapes me when it's time to talk about him for some reason. But he does content, Lakers Lounge. And, he showed us some content, some footage today of JJ Redick taking play cues from his assistant coach. Forgive me, I don't know the assistant coach's name. I don't remember. But he's one of the new guys, of course. And essentially what he showed us was that JJ Redick was being shown a play by this particular coach. He was drawing up the play for JJ Redick. JJ was being explained what the play was in a timeout situation, and then proceeded to take the clipboard and then brought it back to the team. And my understanding that was seen as problematic for some reason. I don't think so. The only thing that would even remotely slightly bring about a negative thought in that regard is the idea that JJ is explaining a play to the team that ultimately he just had explained himself. If that's what it was. We didn't have any audio, so we don't know if he was explaining it or just showing him certain scenarios that otherwise the guy thought it would provide. And then that's the thing. It's like, because I have so much faith in JJ as a play writer, someone who writes plays, someone who knows plays, someone who has run plays his whole career at the highest level, I don't have to question whether or not JJ is intelligent enough to create plays or see something that has worked in the past and then utilize it from his own memory, I don't question that. So in that context of having the faith in the mind, I have less concern as I maybe would have if it were somebody I thought was a fraud of a basketball mind that didn't know what the hell he was doing and it's stealing, coaches from assistant coaches' plays and then pretending like they're his own. That's the only thing that could potentially look a little weird in that situation. It's like, why didn't he just explain the play, to the team, since he thought it up and brought it to you? Shouldn't he be the one explaining it to the guys? So that looks a little funky to me. But in the grand scheme of things, especially given the fact that it's preseason, everybody's trying to get a feel for everybody. So if JJ Redick asked his assistant coach to write up a play and bring it to him, maybe he's trying to see the creativity. Hey, how you doing? Hey, go Yanks. Trying to see the capability of the coach that he's allowing to do this. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of context that we don't have without audio. And so that's where I go from that. I thought that it wasn't much to really be worried about at all. To be honest with you, it was so many different thoughts that came to mind. That was just one of them. The second thing that came to mind was I like variety as it pertains to coaching suggestions to plays. I think especially this early in the season, the more we can incorporate into our playbook, the less predictable we become. So while JJ can draw up his own plays, maybe just like any other artist of any kind, you start having certain patterns that come with the creativity of the person who's creating. As an artist, I can tell you, because I'm not the greatest artist in the world, but I'm artistic and I do a lot of artistic stuff. At the end of the day, no matter how many things I create, it still looked like something I created. And you listen to music, even by the greatest musicians, Pharrell, the Neptune sound. He could try to sound like somebody else. I remember when Kanye West did, Common's album B, he was able to derive from a lot of Dilla sounds and made his album sound as if Dilla had created it. But at the end of the day, it's Kanye beats. And it's going to have a Kanye DNA attached to the creativity of it. I said all that to say when you're a basketball creative, when it pertains to basketball plays, I'd imagine that same type of thing is there. So the more options you have in regards to creating new types of plays, if you have different artists that can provide different creative plays, then it gives you more of a variety and more of a look that doesn't have that same DNA attached to it. You understand what I'm saying? And so when it comes to that type of thing, I believe it to be an art form without being in the trenches with those guys to really know how they do it. I believe play calling can be an art form, and I believe the more opportunities, or the options is the word I want to use, the more options you have, the potentially the better, depending on many factors. You know, if the team ain't smart enough to remember plays, it's probably not a good thing. If you have a system that allows for so many different options within a simplistic template, then maybe you don't need extra outside of template options confusing the team. Or, you know, there's a lot of different things that make that require a certain context for what my opinion would be to really apply. But in the grand scheme of my understanding, the more options you have, the more artists you have, the more broadening your predictability could potentially be. The less your predictability becomes, the more different looks you can throw at a team, I think. So that's kind of what came to mind. That was the second thing that came to mind. Third thing that came to mind was, it's a tough thing to try to critique someone in our business who may be trying to bring attention to themselves. I'm not a professional at what I do, but I do so much of it. It's like I might as well be. I'm qualified with the hours that I've put in to call myself someone who does this. You know what I mean? I guess that's what I can say. So for me, like, I have my own intentions when I make videos for the Lakers. I'm not necessarily trying to gather the minds of the masses. I'm not trying to get the most views. I'm just showing y'all what as a fan, what I think, and with the type of brain I have, I think, I don't necessarily need to search for content. I'm a content machine, I think. And so for some, it may not be like that. And so to keep from having to ramble, they got to find things to talk about. And so if this looks like it could be a potential a messy situation, maybe they can bring it to the table and provide some context that can manifest into more conversations, which give them more to talk about. Or if they can, some people don't mind creating problems where there is none. So if they can, this looks like a problem, let me put that seed out there so now I can create some controversy that otherwise have people calling my name out saying I'm a guy that just created controversy. Now they're saying my name, all publicity is good publicity. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of ballpark thought that came to mind. Like, maybe that's just kind of what this is. I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark. But, at the end of the day, like I said, the only thing that could be problematic is if the coach who's bringing the play to the table somehow would feel slighted, that the coach would then take it back to the team. But given the fact that it's been, something that they did out in the open, I mean, it was a few steps away from the team. You could clearly see, everyone who was watching could see that, the coach was given, assistant coach was giving JJ to play. So it's not like they're hiding this from the team or that people can't clearly see that this wasn't JJ's play. So with that being the case, it's not that the room for that to be the case is not really a thing at all to me. It's like if they were in a room together, this guy gave JJ to play, and then JJ comes back out and says, this is my play, this is what we're running, it came from my head. That's kind of along the lines of what would be a problem. But otherwise, this is in front of 19,000 people. Like, everybody in the room could see what was going on there if they were paying attention to it. So it's not, I just didn't think that was relevant. It wasn't a relevant problem to point out. So I see good things there. And if this is how they want to do it from here on out, then we'll get used to seeing it. You know what I mean? One guy draws up the play. He checks in with JJ to make sure that the play is good. If the play is good, then they will take it back. If JJ doesn't like the play, he scraps it. That could be a system process that JJ wants to provide. And we don't really know because he's never been a coach. You know what I mean? So it's like he has to figure out his own play style and his own way of providing systems to the team, presenting systems to the team. And maybe this is what he's come up with. Maybe this is a checks and balance system that he prefers. So new coach, new coaching situation. Maybe he's creating something of his own, you know. I won't rule anything out when a guy's never done a job before in his life. He's going to need to do some things in a non-orthodox way. He may feel more comfortable if somebody else draws up the plays and then he either vetoes or okays it. You know, maybe that's the necessary way for him to come up with the best solutions. You know what I mean? Until he has confidence that his own plays will work. You know, who knows? Maybe he feels like this is the way, if he goes to a third mind, maybe he'll have more credibility with the team. So this is the optics he chooses for the team to see. Like, see, I'm getting my cues from someone else. You know, maybe, you know, so it's so many different things to wonder about based on the newness of it all for him, for the team, for the coaching staff. It's just too many variables to really be certain that this could actually be something we should think is alarming. So that's what came to mind. I don't have no problem with it, really. Truly, I actually see a lot of positives when a coach is willing to take cues from his assistant coaching staff. When you got other people who are in place to do certain things, giving you things that ultimately they're there to do. If you have a guy, and from what I understand, the pecking order is in his assistant setup that they want a defensive coordinator, an offensive coordinator, and then JJ. So if that's what it is, if that's what they've explained to us that is the setup, then this par for the course. He's getting his offensive coordinators plays, you know, to the team. I mean, I think that's, if he's going to do it that way, this is exactly what it should look like, I'd imagine. So, I don't have anything negative to say about JJ Redick in these first two games. I really don't. I've been extremely happy with him, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. His press conferences, he's not clout chasing in any way or trying to be a TV personality when it's time to talk about the Lakers. I thought that was curious to me. I thought his personality in being a performer would carry over into how he addresses the media when representing the team, and it doesn't. If I'm being completely honest with you, it's almost like he shut all of that off and put forth a certain pensive intention or character of himself on the screen for the rest of us to see that, yo, I'm a coach now, and this is what we're doing. This ain't old man the three. I'm not trying to be witty or funny. You know, that kind of thing. Like, I think it speaks to the versatility of the person. And he's not uptight, but he turned off a lot of the charisma, so to speak. And it seems like he's locked into this coaching thing. And so these are all signs that could potentially be very positive for me. And he understands the magnitude of what he's doing. And this is not the other job. This is not the time to be an entertainer or try to wit your way around the responsibility, you know what I mean, so to speak. But to really step in to the shoes of what a coach is about and, be accountable. And I think that's what's going to win us over. Whether through, mistakes or failures or whatever negativity, that he hold himself accountable, because we have a history of coaches not doing that. A history of coaches passing the buck, passing the blame. And it would be extremely positive if through whatever negativity or failure happens, accountability is found from within himself, pointed at himself, if that makes any sense. As we just don't have enough of that, and we need it. We really do. For our overall morale. We just need somebody who's willing to not only try to avoid making certain decisions that are interpret as mistakes, but when they do and it fails, literally say that's on me, and provide us an explanation if it applies. So that's what I'm looking for. I think that's what a lot of Laker fans are looking for. That's what we didn't have very much of, and I think we'll be very happy if we can get that from JJ. So, all things considered, the first two games, I think he's doing a great job, especially for somebody who's never been a coach on a professional or adult level. He's kicking tail, man. He really is. The team looks great. They're listening to him. When he says he wants to see something change, you see the changes directly in the next game. The core is looks great under him. The changes that he's implementing are not so drastic that the team looks like they don't know what the hell they're doing. He's not coming in trying to reinvent the wheel, but he is trying to work some things into the equation that maybe weren't in place that he thinks will work. And so all of that looks like he's doing it in a balanced way. If I have one suggestion, it's the same suggestion I had after the first game. It would be to stop trying to make the media and the Laker fans happy with your choices. You know what I mean? And you say you want to shoot 53s and you meant it, you meant it. You don't have to come back and say I was joking when the criticism comes. You know what I mean? Because if you believe something works, we're gonna try to believe in you as you say it. You know what I mean? It's like that. So maybe he was joking, but I got the feeling he wasn't joking. He was just reacting to the criticism. You know, it's like, okay, you didn't like that? All right, I'm not gonna say go with that. It's like, you know, I get it. It's a lot of pressure with this media, and he knows the media better than anybody probably does, given the fact that he really aced the media game himself. But at the end of the day, you know, I think standing on what he says will go a long way. You know, if he wants to shoot 53s, damn it, we shooting 53s. You know what I mean? Like, that's not crazy. I saw the Boston Celtics shoot 61 of them. It may not be best, and you may want to come back and say, yo, that probably wasn't best. But you don't have to tell me you were kidding if you weren't kidding. You know what I mean? That's my thing. Stand on that. And if you're trying to make the media happy, it's going to be difficult to do that. Because from my perspective, they ain't trying to be happy. They're trying to be controversial and compelling. And so that, you know, they're not looking to be satisfied. They're looking to be able to twist your words and stir up confusion based on whatever choices you made. So that's what I would tell him. Like, if he was joking, he was joking. And let that be his word too. But I just got the feeling like this is the second time I've sensed that he was trying to correct something that he said. It may not have been wrong, but he may not have thought was taken well. That's what I sensed. But, you know, I mean, early on, if that's the only mistake I can point out, you're not making too many mistakes. I mean, you're doing great, as far as I can tell. And I'm not even certain that is a mistake. I'm not really certain that's what he's actually doing. So, you know, I'm thrilled, man. I'm thrilled with JJ. I figured I would be. When we were talking about hiring him, I didn't think it would be too many problems, to be honest with you, especially early on. If I expect any problems would come, it'd probably be during the trade deadline, or after a 4 or 5 game losing streak, or in the dog days of the season, as I mentioned earlier, somewhere in late March. Trying to keep everybody attentive in certain situations, trying to keep everybody running through a wall for you, managing some of the egos of guys when they don't want to give the effort that they're giving right now as they grow fatigued or fight back from injury. You know, that type of stuff. There's going to be some tests there. I'd imagine we'd have some bumps in the road. But, you know, it's too early for that right now, and I think everything's going well so far. So, you know, anytime you have a rookie coach, you have to expect that some of his mistakes are going to cost you games, period. And so even if he's a great rookie coach, a rookie coach is going to cost you games because they're going to do things that you need experience in order to not make those mistakes, you know what I mean? Even if you're a genius, you got to learn. So I feel like he's going to learn, and it may cost us a little bit, but he's so hard on himself, and he's so attentive to what he's doing. He's so locked in that I just think that he's going to excel. I think he's going to excel just like he's excelled at everything else he's done. You know, I point out that he's excelled not only on the basketball court and in the media, but he also excelled in maximizing his potential earnings in the league contractually. When every time you see JJ getting $1, it was usually top dollar for a short amount of time. He would sign these 1-year deals at $12 million. People are like, how the hell JJ get that contract? Like, he was always one to excel in what he did, no matter what it was. And he put his mind to it, he learned what he needed to learn, and he maximizes his potential. So that's really what we're about here. We've seen guys do that. We saw Kobe do that and make a whole brand off of doing that very thing. And so, for me, I just think he's the right type of spirit, so to speak, to bring into our situation. And, you know, we're happy he's here, man. I don't know about the path it took to get him. I mean, we certainly had that little situation where we thought we were getting dude from UConn. It didn't happen. And then we had to reel it in and then go back to the focusing on JJ. But, you know, even then I thought this could be potentially what we felt when JJ got here. If he didn't grow sour to the circumstances, I thought he would handle him about as well as he has thus far. And so, yeah, no, I'm not surprised. there's a lot of good things to say about JJ from everybody who's talking about him. And the team, you know, people are saying different things about the team and how they performed, losing 2 games or whatever. But ultimately, as far as the coaching is concerned, I think most people are very, very optimistic we got the right coach for the situation. So, all things considered, man, we just waited out. We still got a long preseason to go. We still haven't won our first game. So it's a lot of, you know, stuff to look at from here that will ultimately kind of mold our approach to what type of team we think we're going to be. But given how things are going right now, for us to be 0-2 in the preseason, we got to feel good, man. Especially looking at how AD and Bron look in the second game, and how Max Christie looked in the first game, how Jalen Hood-Schifino looked in the first game. And there's a lot to be, a lot from what we've seen should ease the minds of some of those who were thinking the sky is falling, I guess is what I can say. So, you know, still tempered expectations. Still, you know, we don't expect to be a champion this year, but just the same, we're not ruling out the possibility of us overachieving and maybe doing something special. You never rule that out when you got Bron and AD. So that's kind of what it is for me at this point. You know, as I look toward tomorrow, I think the next thing for the team to do is just try to get some guys incorporated that they've yet to use. I still got to see Jordan Goodwin, I believe is his name. Got to see him. Quincy Olivare, get him some minutes. Or if they're just going to waive these guys and just go ahead and do that now so we can shorten our bench further without people waiting for opportunities that may not be available to them. But I think we want to play those guys. I think we want to give them a shot, a reasonable shot at winning a roster position. So give them an opportunity and see what they can do. And Castleton, I'd like to see get some more minutes. I know we've been eccentric on playing Jackson Hayes, but I do think that Castleton needs to be given a fair opportunity to earn minutes and a fair opportunity to prove that he probably shouldn't be on a two-way anymore. And there's something else that I'm wondering about, and that is the health status of Christian Koloko. There's been no update. And of course, we understand we're picking up somebody who has to get reacclimated into his conditioning and into a system. He's been away from basketball probably for 2 years now with a very serious health thing. So it's not crazy that he's not ready in the preseason. But it makes you wonder how long we could potentially have him out. And as we continue to get used to who we have, how much of an adjustment will it be when you have to bring him back and sort out his minute situation? You know, it's a lot to consider when you're bringing in a new center to a team that's already been together for a long time. So that's really what it is. You're obviously excited about him, what he can do defensively at the center position. His perimeter potential defensively is interesting. His athleticism, lob threat, all of that stuff is promising. But if he's not ready, how soon do we see him, and how much of an adjustment will it be working him into the equation? So one has to wonder. But right now, we're patient. We also understand that we have Christian Wood to wait on as well and Vanderbilt to wait on as well. That's 3 sizable players, 2 of which in Wood and Vanderbilt will most definitely be I want to say the word challenge, but it's going to be an adjustment working them into the rotation and determining what their roles will be. So the longer we go without them, the more of an adjustment I think it'll be. So that's just what the nature of the team is. We're not healthy. We're not the only team going through this. I think the Memphis Grizzlies have like 4 key players out with injury, including 2 starters, and Vince Williams and Jaren Jackson. So it is what it is, man. Injuries are part of the game, and even in the beginning of the preseason, we're not exempt from facing them. So hopefully we can get these guys healthy and then have a much healthier overall season than we've had, because that's really a thing, man. We've been kind of bit by the injury bug for several years in a row, it seems. Sometimes more so than most teams, it feels like. But luckily enough, we had a healthy Bron and AD. Knock on wood, we'll continue to have that, and we'll always be in the mix to at least guarantee some good regular season wins, if nothing else. But You know, we need these old guys to be healthy, and we're patient. We're patient. So glad Gabe Vincent is back. Glad Jalen's back. That really takes off a lot of that pressure. You know, at least our guard situation is somewhat intact for the most part. We know who we have and where their conditioning level is at this point. So, you know, it's just about getting our bigs now. That's really what it's about. So yeah, man, looking forward to tomorrow's game. I'm tired of waiting 4 days off when we've been away for 3 months plus. It's too long, man. I don't know who the schedule makers of the preseason are, but you know, giving us a back-to-back and 4 days off, it's just, I don't find myself thrilled with how that is set up this year, if I'm being honest with you guys. But it ain't the end of the world. It's not a massive deal. It's just a bit of a pet peeve of mine. When you're ready to watch basketball or you don't want to play back-to-backs, you know what I'm saying? Just the same. So that's really all I gotta say, man. You know, until this team plays some more, we have more just rambling to do. That's really what I was saying in the last video about the Lakers. It's easy to ramble when there's not a whole lot to talk about, and right now I don't have a whole lot to talk about. So that's the frustrating thing for me. But when we get back out here tomorrow, we'll have a game video, preview video tomorrow morning. Of course, something at halftime, and then of course at the end of the game we will have the reaction. So that's really what I got for now, man. I watched a lot of highlights of preseason basketball yesterday from around the league, so I may make a video later on just discussing some things that I saw in those highlights. But for now, that's pretty much all I got. Name's BDF44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.